So now let's quickly look at an example. Although we have just one example that we'll be solving, but there are a lot of questions embedded under that example. So 1a, we are asked to find the distance between point P and Q. The point has already been stated, so we use the given formula to find the distance. Remember, we have said distance between 2 points is what? Square root of x2 minus x1 all squared plus y2 minus y1 all squared. So let's quickly get to that. Now, solution. So now we asked to find distance between PQ, which is what? Square root of x2 minus x1 all squared plus y2 minus y1 all squared. For P, we have 2, 1 and Q is 3, 4. 2, 1 and Q is 3, 4. So with this is our x1, y1, and this is our x2, y2. So we substitute the values into the given formula, and then we have the magnitude PQ, or the distance PQ, equals to, what was our x2? Our x2 is 3 minus our x1 is 1 all squared plus our y2 is 4 minus 1 all squared. So the distance PQ now is equals to, 3 minus 2 rather. 3 minus 2, so that's 1 squared plus 3 squared, which is equals to square root of 10. So therefore, the distance between P and Q is equals to square root of 10. And that's the end for 1A. So for 1B, let's look at the question again. For 1B, if the distance between point A and B is 13, find the value of A. Each point associated to A and B has already been given. So our x1 is A, our y1 is minus 7, and our y1 is minus 1, our y2 is A plus 1. So let's quickly get to that. So now, we're asked to find side AB. This is the formula, of course. In the question, this distance between AB has already been given as 13, and we have the respective points. So the only thing we are asked to find there are the values of A, because looking at A is abstract. We don't have a particular or exact value for A. So we need to know the exact value of A that will now result to the distance between AB to be equals to 13. So how do we go about it? You substitute this point, the given values, into the formula, and then we try our means to look for A, or we try our possible best to look for A. So now AB is 13, right? So now we have our x2 is I think I need to be fast about this. Minus 1 minus A all squared plus A plus 1 minus 7 all squared. So your 13 is equals to square root of minus 1 minus A all squared plus, remember that if you expand this bracket, A plus 1 minus times minus is plus, so this will become A plus 1 plus 7. Eventually you have A plus 8 all squared, right? So if you take if you take the squares of both sides, take the square of both sides, what happens? This one will become 13 squared is equals to minus 1 minus a all squared plus what? A plus 8 all squared. So we can also expand. We need to expand this since we are seeing a in both terms. So we expand this first term and we also expand the second term so that we can take like times. If we expand this is going to give you 1 plus 2a plus a squared plus this one will give you a squared plus 16a plus 64. I want to believe we know how to expand a bracket. You know, this is minus 1 minus a all square. It means that you want to take the product of minus 1 minus a 2 times, and the same thing applicable to a plus 8 all square. So I can just quickly do one as an example for you. Let's say minus 1 minus a times minus 1 minus a. Minus we multiply minus 1 times minus 1 will give you plus 1. Minus 1 times you first of all use the first term to multiply what is in the other bracket. You use the first term here to multiply the first and second term in the other bracket. So minus 1 times minus 1 will give you 1. Minus 1 times minus a will give you plus a. Once you are done with whatsoever that you have in this bracket, after you have exhausted what you have in this bracket, you now move to the second term, which is minus a. You use this minus a to multiply all that is in this bracket too. Minus a times minus 1 will give us plus a. Minus a times minus a will give us what? Plus a squared. So this is how we get 1 plus 2a plus a squared. So you can try this on your own. A plus 8 squared will give you a squared plus 16a plus 64. So by the time we collect like times, this will become a squared plus a squared will give us 2a squared. 2a plus 16a will give us 18a plus 1 plus 64 will give us 65. Remember that this, so you can see from this that this is looking like a quadratic equation. We are all familiar with a quadratic equation, and you know that a standard quadratic equation is what is always equals to 0. So we arrange this so that this will be equals to 0, and then you have 2a squared plus 18a plus 65 minus 169 equals to 0. So with this, 2a squared plus 18a minus 104 is equals to 0. So we want to reduce this value to a smaller terms. So if you want to reduce this value, you look at what can go. You can look for a value that can go in each of these coefficients without a remainder. So as you can see, 2 can go in 2a squared, 2 can also go in 18a, 2 can also go in this, and everything divided by a 0 divided by anything will also what give us a 0. So we can divide all through by 2. When you divide all through by 2, what do you have? This one will become a squared plus 9a minus what? 52 equals to 0. So what do you do next? What you should do next is you find the factors of minus 52a. You multiply the first term and the last term together. You have a squared times minus 52, and you have minus 52a, right? So of course minus times plus will give us minus. So you have minus and plus 52a squared. So then you know that a times a will definitely give you what? A squared. So now what is the original factor? Or what is the factor of 52? We need 2 factors of 52, so that by the time you multiply them together or you add them together will give you 9a. We already know that, but the factors are what? 13 and 4, right? So now if you subtract 4 from 13, it's going to give you 9, right? And if you subtract 13 from 4, you are going to get a negative 9. So, and what is at the middle here in the quadratic equation that we are solving? It is positive that is there, not negative. So taking a negative value for 13 and a positive value for 4 will not give us the desired solution. So the best is the bigger number will take a positive value and the smaller number will take a negative value, so that by the time we take the differences we are going to have 9a, and by the time we multiply them together we are going to have minus 52a. So with this now I can say this is minus 4a and this is what? Plus 13a. So minus 4a, let me put it here, minus 4a. You will see that if you add minus 4a plus 13a, definitely is going to give you what? 9a. This will give you 9a. So instead of writing, let me write my a very slow. It will not look like 9. So instead of writing 9a directly in the quadratic equation, what do? You replace with this. So we now have a squared minus 4a plus 13a minus 52 equals to 0. So what next? What is next is you factorize. You can take these first two terms. When you take these first two terms, what is common in these two terms? It is a. You factorize a out, and then you are left with a minus 4. Since you already have a minus 4 in your brackets, you repeat what you have inside the bracket again. You have another a minus 4, and then you look for a factor that by the time you multiply with this one, you are going to have plus 13a minus 52. So from what I have here, plus 13a is a good one. I mean plus 13 rather is a good one. So plus 13 times a will give us 13a, and plus 13 times minus 4 will give us minus 52. So now you first of all take one of what you have in the bracket, which is a minus 4, and then you combine these two together, which is what? A plus 13 equals to what? Equals to 0. So at the end of the day, your a minus 4 is equals to 0, or your a plus 13 is equals to what? 0. Therefore, your a is equals to 4, or a is equals to minus 13. Remember, in the question we are asked to find two values of a, and this is just it.